All right, what's up, guys? Want to show you today one of my favorite integrations we do here at Venn, where we take a CRM, combine it with your finance ERP, and then put some processing on the back end to get cash in the door. So today we're going to be talking about HubSpot running as your CRM for your sales cycle, Intacct, Sage Intacct running for your contract management, your recurring billing, subscription billing, if you will, and then Stripe on the back end to actually collect that payment. This one we actually call the Trinity for these three systems running just in sync here. So real quick, I want to run through this diagram before I actually show you what the integration looks like. Traditional sales cycle happening over here in HubSpot using deals and line items. You run your normal sales cycle, put everything on your deal. Maybe you have something on the front end over here, like a CPQ system like Deal Hub, where you'll have a quote and you'll have quote lines, right? And those eventually push all your information to your deal. Just run everything in your CRM as normal. What we do when you win that deal is we take the information starting up here with the company, and we go sync it to Intacct. So we create your customer for you, create your contacts for you, and then that deal and those line items come over here and create your contract and your contract lines. From there, Intacct takes over as your subscription billing system, and those contracts and contract lines you'll run your invoices. They'll create your SO docs or your invoices, and now you're ready to bill. So this is the second part of the quote to cash model, right? From there, with those invoices, we sync that up to Stripe. So on a first time that you're billing somebody, that customer will go create the customer in Stripe. We'll take that invoice, we'll go create an invoice in Stripe so that we can send back to Intacct a payment URL that you can send to your customer. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute here. You send that to them, they click it, they put their payment method inside of Stripe, their credit card, ACH, Apple Pay, whatever you guys allow them to use, and you get your charge for that invoice, that particular invoice. That charge will come back as an AR payment detail against your SO doc, showing it's paid, get all the good stuff with RevRec and that stuff in place. And then that invoice and that payment, we also pass all the way back into HubSpot. So you can have an invoice and even a payment record if you want. So you can see a full 360 of your customer and what they've paid start to finish from inside of HubSpot. This is nice and clean because it keeps people where they need to be, seats that they need to be in. You don't want your sales team sitting inside of Intacct, right? So they can be inside of HubSpot. They can see what's been paid, what haven't been paid, and keep chugging along from there. So let me show you what this looks like. And I won't go through everything. There's some things on here like we mirror the contract back into HubSpot. That's something you want to know more about, get in touch with us. We'd love to show you that. But I'm going to start inside of HubSpot. We're not smoke and mirrors here at Venn. So I'm going to create a new company, a new contract, work from scratch. HubSpot's really great by using domains to put stuff in. So I'm just going to use some simple like marvel.com. I'm a big Marvel fan. So it'll create everything for me for the company. And then I'm going to straight to a deal. I'll create a new one. We use pipelines here. So we'll call this new subscription. And then the pipeline I'm going to use is contracts, again, showing subscription billing here. If you were using order entry, that's cool too. This works with order entry where you just one time need to bill them, not recurring billing. But for this demo, I'm going to use contracts. And then I'm not going to put a contact on it. It'll create a customer and stuff for me there. But we will put a subscription line here and we'll sell some platinum workspace. And let's do a higher number, like 24 or so. So we'll create that deal. At this point, like I said, your sales team would get their deal created. They'd work their normal process, contacting the prospect, working through whatever y'all's typical sales cycle is. Because of the way we have this demo environment set up, you may do it differently. I'm going to go to the line items here, and I'm going to edit my line item to make it be appropriate for a contract billing. So I'm going to use start with a custom date. We'll do, this is always weird that it's backwards. The start date is second. I'll do that today. And then the end date, I'll do 1 year from today on the 17th of December. Billing frequency, we'll do monthly. My terms will be 12, and we'll just start billing today, right? So we'll save that. Now I've got my line item. updated with the appropriate information. My deal has jumped to a pretty good size, 245K. We'll hit save here, update my deal amount, and pop back over to the deal. One more thing just in this demo box, and hopefully some of the stuff will be automated for you, so you're not having your reps have to update multiple locations. Over here on the left side, we've got some Intacct specific information that it's going to need to know in order to get the billing right. So another contract start date, end date, etc. So we'll kind of replicate what we did on the line item here. We'll do 12/18 for today. We'll do 12/17 for 2024, billing frequency as monthly. And now we're good to go. So down here at the bottom, I have my Intacct status information. So this is where I'm going to trigger the integration to run. Typically what you're going to do is upon your stage close winning, this will automatically trigger. But because we like to keep our demos where we can talk and chat, answer questions, we have it a manual process here. So I'm going to set it as sync and hit save. And then we're going to give this just a minute to work its magic. So hop back over here real quick and just again explain what's going on. Brand new company going into Intacct. So this company is looking into Intacct, making sure that customer doesn't exist. It'll create it and pass back identifiers into HubSpot. And then that deal and those line items will go to create the contract and the contract lines over here inside of Intacct. So come back on my deal. Let's hit refresh here and see where we're at. There we go. So my deal for 245K, I've got my contract synced. I've got my contract ID. I'm actually going to copy this because it's going to make it easy to find in just a second. And now we're going to pop over into Intacct. We'll go, I'm already in contracts, which is nice. I'll hit my paste here. Go find that record, Marvel new subscription for 245K. There's my contract ready to go. And now I need to go run those invoices. So we can have this done automatically where this entire process can generate those invoices on the first run, go sync it to Stripe. Again, in this case, we like to talk through our demo environment to make sure everybody understands what's going on. So I'm going to generate these manually, which is not a very painful process. We can do it pretty quickly here. I'll go find my customer that got created. I got my dates in there, hit preview, and I'll get one invoice here for today, which is 1/12 of that 245K-ish number here. We'll generate those invoices. And then I'm going to pop over to order entry where those invoices are sitting under my HubSpot sales invoice transaction definition. So there's my invoice that came through right there. It's down a little bit because these are in the future that got ran earlier. But what I'm missing compared to the rest of this is this reference number. That is my Stripe invoice ID. And that's what I need to go produce now. So if I view this invoice, we've got the line item for the workspace, 850 per. And we had, what was it, 24? Yeah, there you go, 24 of those things for 20,400. So once again, this can be done automatically, but I'm going to do it manually here. So I'm going to edit this invoice. And I'm going to take this out real quick. And over here, we have a Stripe tab. So this Stripe tab is where we're going to pull Stripe information, the invoice information, if there is invoice data, and then payment data when the payment comes through. So for this integration, this invoice status field here, which can be set automatically, I'm going to set to sync. I mentioned for recurring billing, right? So one thing about this integration popping over this diagram is what we're going to do is create the invoice in Stripe and pull back this payment URL so we can pay it. After we do that the first time and you get your payment method inside of Stripe, we can just automatically charge invoices. We can go directly from this invoice here to the charge down here, not having to create an invoice inside of Stripe. So an automatic true subscription management system here. We can do that by checking this box for Stripe Auto Advance, or on the customer record, we can have it where you can check it for all invoices for that customer. So I'm going to set this one to sync. I'm going to post it. I think it's going to throw an error real quick because this thing keeps getting filled out. And I'm going to delete that, post it one more time. And now we're off to the races. So one more real quick thing, just to continue to kind of educate how we utilize Intacct. Intacct has some automation built inside of it. So for things that are going out of Intacct, we use smart event jobs. So this is my traffic cop right here. So this is my invoice that just got synced over. I am I'm in Texas in Dallas, and it's about 9:30 my time. This is 7:30 Pacific time here on December 18th. But this is your traffic cop. If there's 100 invoices, those things will queue up one after another. But I'm going to hit refresh here. We'll see if that thing's cleared out. We'll give it just a second. And as soon as it's gone, it's off to the races inside of Stripe. So again, a reminder where we're at. We got the invoice created. Sage is looking at Stripe to create that customer over here. The invoice from Intacct will create the invoice in Stripe and pull back that payment URL that we can send to the customer. And that link will be how we get the payment method inside of Stripe. So refresh again. All right, now that that's out of there, just because we're not smoke and mirrors, I'm going to hop over here to Stripe. I'm in my customers. We don't see that Marvel up here at the top. So I refresh here, and we should see a new customer pop up. There we go, Marvel. Clever in the email creation here is just billing at that domain. So when I click on that customer, I now have a payment to be received for $20,400 and have an invoice that was created for that same $20,400. So now coming back over into Intacct and going back to my invoice that was living over here. There it is. And now I have a few more things. So there's my reference number. So this reference number is the Stripe invoice ID, recognized by IN underscore at the front. And if we view this invoice now and go back to the Stripe tab, this is where I set the status to sync, and all this was blank, right? So there's my invoice ID. There's my payment URL that we can send to the customer. We have some timestamps of when everything ran. What we're missing is the payment itself, right? So using the print email functionality or whatever you guys choose, that invoice link can go all the way back to HubSpot, and then you could send that link from HubSpot if you wanted to. But for easeability here, I'm going to click this link, which takes me to a specific invoice page for that invoice inside of Stripe. So there's my 24 Platinum Workspace subscriptions. And I'm going to put my credit card information here. Like I always say, don't steal my credit card information, but pretty easy, I guess, if you wanted to here. Make sure all that's correct. And we'll hit pay. And then let's walk the process backwards. Before I do that, real quick, I want to jump back into HubSpot just so I don't miss a step here. On the right side, we have an invoice object. If I hit refresh, there should be that invoice here, and it should say that we owe money still. There we go. We owe $20,400, but I just paid it, right? So in Stripe, I'm going to refresh. I'm going to walk everything backwards. So Stripe shows that payment has succeeded. It's good to go. Get out of that tab. We'll hop back into Intacct. Here's my invoice showing that payment status is open. If I hit refresh here, this should pop up as paid. We have our payment details. There's my payment, my AR payment with that charge ID, CH for charge inside of Stripe. Same thing on the Stripe tab down here. We also have synced. There's my charge ID. There's my fee ID, the timestamp when it came through. So that's running through all the posting, wherever you put stuff inside of Intacct. And then the last step, I come back over here to HubSpot. I'm going to hit refresh, and we should see this amount due change to 0. There we go. So front to back, we ran our sales cycle. We got the deal in the door. Everybody celebrated. We let the finance team do what they do best. They ran their contracts, got their invoices to bill out. We synced it over to Stripe, got our invoice link back in, sent that to the customer. We got our charge, recorded the AR payment inside of Intacct against that invoice. And then that AR payment came all the way back to HubSpot on that invoice object showing it's been paid. Now my sales team can run reports on what's outstanding, what's been paid. If your sales team gets paid on commission with cash in the door, that's obviously a nice thing to have. But there you go, guys. If you got any questions, please let us know. We'd love to hop on the phone, hear how you're using these systems, how we might be able to help automate your processes. But until then, hope you enjoyed. Let us know any other questions you guys have.